G'day and welcome to another big edition of the MCDFNL Footy Show here at Princes Park. My name's Yeendy. I'm joined by the great man from the Maryborough Advertiser. He'll be kicking plenty of goals with us in 2018 here with Grant. Thanks for joining us, mate, and looking forward to having you on board this year.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I'll be dropping in every now and then when you get across to Maryborough, and yeah, looking forward to covering all the footy and netball in the Advertiser this year for sure.
Oh, fantastic. Some of the best coverage going around of the MCDFNL through your papers, mate. You've had a really big pre-season.
Yep. No, I've been getting ready for the footy season. We've got the 20-page preview out this week. All the football, all the netball, all the ins and outs, individual team fixtures, so it's a good read. I'd pick it up.
No worries, make sure you check it out this week. It is going to be absolutely brilliant as we fire up for the first game, which is where we are at the moment. We've got the lovely surroundings here of the Princes Park grandstand, and we start here on Friday night. Big game between Maryborough Rovers and Talbot, and this is going to be an ideal way to start 2018.
Yeah, definitely two of the upcoming teams of 2018. They played here a couple of years ago and it was an absolute beauty. The game was decided with the ball going through the air. Talbot got a goal literally on the siren, so Talbot got the chocolates there. Maryborough Rovers played Lexington here last year and they had a big win here with the Chaplin boys in the team, so yeah, it's game on here, I reckon, on Friday night. Yeah,
and both teams, they finished about similar positions on the ladder at the end of the home and away season last year, and from all reports, they're doing quite well. They've recruited quite well to make this game just as good as what we saw a couple of years ago.
I think the key here for their off-season is they've both teams have held on to a lot of their players from last year. Matt Smith spoke to me earlier this week, and yeah, he's really looking forward to building the bottom six of his team. He thinks that he's brought in some new recruits to help really strengthen that team, and the two Bond brothers that are coming across the Talbot, they know this ground better than anybody else, so I reckon they could play a deciding factor. But yeah, don't put a line through Rovers at all.
Yeah, I think they've done pretty well in the off season too. I know from a Riddle background, they've got a few more Melton Centrals guys that come up that have got a lot of speed and a lot of good goal awareness, and I think they've just got a lot of good run across half back and then up through the midfield as well. Nathan Richardson, he was one of the big standouts for the comp last year, and just a big-bodied midfielder with a lot of pace. Kane Boleyn, also a handy footballer, but they've just got some good blend of players right across the ground, and as you say, it's probably about building up that bottom six that Talbot has sort of done. And I think Rovers have done that well too.
Yeah, well, with Trainer as coach, I know that they've held on to a lot of their blokes. Haven't gone out on a massive recruiting spree. I think they've just brought in some solid players to sort of fix up a few lines. But yeah, tough one to pick, but I reckon Talbot might just get it done.
I'm going to jump on the Rovers bandwagon, mate. They're looking pretty well. Friday night football doesn't get much better than this.
Going against me in the first tip.
Yeah, I know. We're off to a good start already here at Princes Park. 7:45 p.m. Should be a cracking night as well. Nice slippery conditions. Going down the bottom end of the ladder where these two teams sort of finished in 2018, looking to try to get off to a winning start. We've got Maldon and Campbell's Creek. This should be an interesting game, especially given that both clubs are in a very building phase.
Yeah, yep, definitely an interesting one and another tough one to tip. I'd say Maldon's probably had the better off-season. I know that they've got a few local blokes back to the team and really looked for that commitment over the off-season, but Campbell's Creek have done the same thing as well. They haven't gone out to get recruits. They've really focused on the cattle that they've got there. They've looked to hold on to their blokes, and sort of that's what you need when you're struggling down the bottom of the ladder. You need the 22 blokes who are going to rock up every week and give it their all, and I think both teams have got that, so should be definitely an interesting one. Big rivalry in the Castlemaine area. Definitely right, mate. Your tip for this one? I'll give it to Maldon, I think.
I'm going to jump on the Campbell's Creek bandwagon, and I love about this time of year because round one's always pretty exciting. You don't know who's going to step up and which young kids are going to come through. It's always an element of surprise on what we could see.
A little bit of guesswork at this time of year for sure, and sometimes after round one you've got more questions than answers, but yeah, I just think Maldon might just have a little bit of an edge, just judging by the players that they've been able to hold on to.
I think Campbell's Creek just got that little bit more fighting spirit. Should be a corker of a contest. One that might be a little bit indifferent. We've got Royal Park and Denali. We know Denali had a really big day last year with Daniel Kerr and the team, and they ended up having a big win over there. And Royal Park, they're always one of the challenges. They performed quite well last year. How do you see this one unfolding over at Hedges Oval?
Yeah, Royal Park were top four. They got to the final four, they played in a prelim last year, so it was a good effort by them. They have lost a few. I know their coach is on the way out, leading goal kicker as well is on the way out, and their best and fairest. So how they recover from that is an interesting sort of it's something that needs to be looked at. They have got their 2016 best and fairest back in Rich Zelenic, and so he should make a big difference. But with Denali, Denali found themselves towards the bottom of the ladder last year and probably are still rebuilding, but I reckon they'll be more competitive this year. But I think Royal Park are going to get the job done on this one.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one, mate. But again, as you say, Denali, just they'll pick up. There's no doubt about that at all. Napier Alba and Lexington, the Swans, they did lose a few in the off-season, a few big names that I think have gone on to other competitions. And Lexington, the Tigers, we're going to need a better season from them in 2018.
Very un-Lexington-like last year. I think they've featured in finals every year up until last year since they've come across from the Lexington Plain League. So it's good to see them coming against an old Lexington Plain rival in Natty. Natty have lost a few. Taylor Strawn, their best and fairest, is on the way out. And Callum Pressey's also left. But I think the core of Natty, as it has remained for about 5 years now, is still there. And they've got some young kids, Bailey Cossa, Jai Mortlock, Zach Mortlock. They're the type of guys that... probably Natty are looking to take a next step this year. They haven't really brought in anybody else. Josh Grant's coming to the side, but they'll be looking at their juniors, and I reckon they've still got the quality to get over the line of Lexington, who have, they've been a little bit hard to get information out of in the pre-season, but I understand that they've got a new coach, and it'll be interesting to see their new direction that they're going to go in. Well,
as you mentioned earlier, we'll probably have more questions than answers, which is a good thing. At Tigerland, we'll be watching with great interest on what happens over at good old Natty Yallock. Another big game, we got Newstead and Harcourt, and these two good local rivals always put on a good show against each other.
Absolutely. Harcourt had a really good season last year, got that 4th position on the ladder, the double chance in the finals, but couldn't take advantage of it, so knocked out in straight sets. I know Paul Chaplin was pretty disappointed with that, so he'll have the boys up and about ready for another big year. And I reckon they're going to be a really strong team this year. I reckon they're definitely a team to watch out for. And Newstead, a bit of an unknown from year to year. They're really good on their home ground, that tight ground, and they always hard physical footballers. So I like the way how Newstead go about things. They're always in a game, and with the new coach Mark Ramsey coming back, I reckon it's game on, but Harcourt for me on that one.
I'm going to jump on Rambo's side and try and wheel the Kangaroos over the line. They've been very active within the community, and no doubt they'll be very active on the footy field, and I think that'll be just too much for the Lions. Another important game, and this could, it's the Saints and Trentham Avoca. This is it's going to be a big test for the Bulldogs, because we know the Saints are on the march, and they've probably underperformed, particularly over the last few years.
Trentham will come around. Trentham a bit. They'll come around every now and then with a really good side, and I reckon they're just about to do that. With Clayton Scoville still as coach, he's had a good run at it in charge. So I reckon he's got a strong team for this year. But Avoca have picked up a few. They've got the Coughlin brothers there, so they're definitely going to be more competitive. And I know Avoca wouldn't have been pleased with the year that they had last year. They were a bit dogged by injuries, pardon the pun there, but they had a rough year with injuries, didn't really get a clear run at it, so probably not a fair sort of barometer for them to go by. So I reckon they're going to be in this contest. But it could go either way, that one. Yeah,
Trentham, I think, too strong on their home deck, just using a lot of pace and a lot of good goal sense they've got around the team.
Trentham had a really good year last year. They got really close to Carisbrook, and I know they knocked off Natty, but they probably just dropped away right at the end there, the wrong time of the year. So but Trentham for me as well.
Now the last one, the grand final rematch. We've got Carisbrook and Navarre, and on this Hello deck going back in September. We saw a good hard fighting contest, but I think this time around, judging by the pre-season, this might not be the close game that many have hoped.
It was a ripper grand final here, really, and it was sort of decided in that first quarter where Navarre sort of a little bit ill-disciplined, cost him early.
A few 50s.
And then Carisbrook were able just to ride it out. From all reports, Carisbrook have really held onto their list. I know that Jason Hill's retired. Brady Neal's actually come here to play with the Magpies in the Bendigo League, give himself a bit of a run at a higher level, so that's good for him to do. But Carisbrook have definitely still got the class of the competition, and I know they've brought in Ash Manari, I think that's how you say his last name, and he's a gun midfielder who moved forward last year and kicked over 50 goals. So he should really strengthen up a really tough team, which is a pretty frightening prospect for the opposition. But Navarre, few outs, definitely. Likes of Daniel Parkin and Cody Driscoll. You know, that you don't get much bigger names in the MCDFNL than that to part ways.
Yep.
But I reckon it'd be wrong to write off a team that's, you know, for the last 5 years has been the benchmark of the competition. Even though they didn't get the job done last year, they've still got a lot of their players left from that 4 straight premierships. So I reckon they're going to be in this game, but I think Carisbrook will be a bit too classy at their home deck under lights, which is always a bit of an advantage for them as well. They like getting around there. So
exactly, and I don't think Navarre would mind going in this game as the underdogs, whereas they've probably been the team to beat for the last few years, and now Carisbrook have got that mantle officially now.
Yeah, it's definitely a new position for Navarre where people might not be expecting as much from them, so they'll be embracing that. And then Carisbrook have got to get used to being the chase club of the competition now. I think everybody's put a target on their backs. So.
6 p.m. kick-off for Saturday night football, mate. Your tip in this one?
Carisbrook for me.
Yeah, I'll usually try and get on the underdogs, but I just think Carisbrook just showed some great form in the grand final last year and just looking a bit too more polished. Well, unfortunately, I mean, we did get the news last week, mate, or over the recent weekend that we had the passing of a former colleague of ours throughout Goldfields and around the region, much loved fellow Sean Kelly, who unfortunately suddenly passed away last week. Mate, that's news that certainly rocked the community. Absolutely.
Terrible news. You won't find many people with a passion for sport and more regional sport as well than Sean. I sort of started covering sport in the Maryborough area the same time he was coming to the MCDFNL, and he was a great help to me getting established as a young journo, and yeah, always there to lend a hand, even right up till this day. So very sad news, and thoughts go out to his family. He'll be missed.
Yeah, definitely will. He's left a big presence, a big gaping hole in the community, and hopefully the community can rally. And I think that's the beauty about football, netball clubs, mate. Everyone seems to rally together. Everyone's been impacted by this, and in fairness as well, that is a compliment to the sort of person that he was too.
Absolutely, he got this sort of stuff up and running, like the footy show. He sat in your chair, so to speak, for plenty of years alongside Sam Gowers, and pardon me, but nobody would have been looking more forward to round one than him as well. So, yeah, very sad news.
We can hopefully everyone sort of gears up, supports each other as we get ready for a big round one in football, kicking off this week on this Hello Ground at Princess Park from 7:45 p.m. Don't forget the MCDFNL launch does start around about 6 p.m. So get along there for that and enjoy the day, or enjoy the night is what's going to be great. Grant, thanks so much for joining us, mate. We look forward to catching up with you in the very near future.
No worries, mate, and good luck to everybody playing this weekend and throughout the season. Hopefully the results go your way.
And make sure you get at the big lift out this week in your Maryborough Advertiser. It is huge.
That's correct. Yep, go get it. It's a good one.